The meeting will come to order. We are now holding Monday, November 23rd, 2020 meeting of the Bladen County Commissioners. Chairman Ray Britt is dealing with an unexpected illness, and I need a motion to excuse him. Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Okay, at this time, the Reverend Cameron McGill from the Lake Church will pray for us.
Great Father, we thank you that we can even utter such a word, Father, to the very God of the universe, the creator and sustainer of all. Thank you for this place, that we become a free people, elected officials that represent us. Thank you for wisdom and discernment that you have given them and will give them tonight and the days ahead. We thank you for our community. And we pray specifically tonight for those, our chairman and others, who are dealing with sickness and illness. We pray somehow the hand of the great physician might move upon this community, this state, this nation, this world. God, we acknowledge this is the first time in the history of your creation for mankind has faced such a pandemic without our eyes and our hearts turning to you. So forgive us for that. And God, we pray that this is what it takes to revive our land. We thank you for it. God, we pray that you might revive us. You might allow us to see you high and lifted up. You might worship you with all of our mind, all of our soul, our strength, and all of our body. In Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you, Reverend McGill. Okay, at this time, Ms. Zoe Smith is going to lead through the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay, before we do the consent items, we need to add 12B, which is the property in Bladenburg. There's 8 parcels of property in Bladenburg that is for the revitalization. And second, we have 12C, which will add a closed session for economic development. We have a motion.
Motion to approve as amended.
Have a second?
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded that we amend the motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. Okay, now we are at the consent items.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion by Mr. Peterson, the second by Ms. Smith. All those in favor say aye. All opposed? Motion passes. I think the next part is recognition of outgoing commissioners. Ms. Ashley Smith, please come forward. appreciation to Miss Ashley Smith Tribbett for dedicated service as Bladen County Commissioner December 16th to December 2020, presented on this 23rd day of November 2020, presented by the Bladen County Board of Commissioners. Thank you for your service, Ms. Ashley.
Wonderful county manager. We're very fortunate to have him here in Bladen County, and Maria Edwards, the backbone of the county too. Both of y'all, really the support that you've shown myself and the other commissioners, there's never enough thank you to go around for y'all, so thank you for that. And my fellow commissioners, it's been fun, it's been real fun, and I look forward to seeing what y'all do in the future with the newly elected commissioners as well. And I love Bladen County. It's always going to be my home, and it's been a true honor, one of the greatest honors, truly. And I'm very fortunate to be able to serve the capacity that I have over the past 4 years, and I really appreciate it. So thank you for trusting me and supporting me along the way. And yeah, I'm excited to see what happens in Bladen County in the future. So thank y'all.
Next, Mr. Robert A. Robbie Reese. In grateful appreciation for Mr. Robbie Priest for dedicated service as a county commissioner September 2020 till December 2020, presented on this 23rd day of November 2020, presented by the Bladen County Board of Commissioners. Thank you, Robert.
Definitely a learning experience. I know my dad, enjoyed working with all of you, so I'm just glad to fill his shoes. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Daniel R. Dice. For dedicated service as a county commissioner from December 2008 until December 2020, presented on this 23rd day of November 2020, presented by the Bladen County Board of Commissioners. Thank you for your service, Mr. Thomas.
Like I said, it's been a great pleasure working with the county commissioners. I'd like to thank the people of Bladen County for giving me the opportunity to work for them for 12 years, and hope everybody has a wonderful Thanksgiving and a very Merry Christmas.
Individual delegations wishing to address the commission. No one. Okay. Mr. Adrian Lau. With an update regarding single-family rehabilitation loan pool programs.
Commissioners, administration, thank you first of all for the opportunity to be able to present to you this evening. For those of you who are not familiar with me, my name is Adrian Lauer, and I previously was a housing coordinator in Lone River Council of Governments, where I had the opportunity to administer and secure housing funds for Bladen County since 2000. Mainly the Community Development Block Grant and Single Family Rehab Program. So I've got a lot of experience in Bladen County. I actually married a Bladen County girl. So I do see a lot of commissioners' faces that are new to me. I'm not used to Commissioner Priest. I'm used to Coach Priest. In another life, I'm a high school football official. I like to tell you, I've never thrown a flag against East Bladen. But I know when I do throw one, I'm going to have to explain to him down to the T exactly what. But again, it's a pleasure to be with you this evening. I want to talk to you a little bit about the housing programs. Previously, in my previous role with the Council of Governments, these programs were administered through the Lumberton Council of Governments. And when I left in 2017 to go to Lumberton Housing Authority, I think the intent was to keep the programs there. But there's a lot of time and effort that goes in these particular programs, and there's no administration dollars. So it really became a financial burden. So the COG is getting out of the housing business. So I received a call from the Housing Finance Agency asking me to step in to see what I could do. And I've been fortunate enough now to become a consultant with the board that I have now, is allowing me to become a consultant so I can continue to operate these programs on behalf of the 4-county region, which would be Robinson, Scotland, Bladen, and Hope counties. So tonight I want to give you an update of where we're at on the single-family rehab programs. There's 2 programs currently that are operating now here in Bladen County through the single-family rehab program. Back in 2017, after Hurricane Matthew, the General Assembly, through the Disaster Recovery Act, made about $20 million available to the Housing Trust Fund to do some type of service for citizens affected by Hurricane Matthew. They put $15 million into the single-family rehab program through DR and allowed Bladen County to have an allotment of about $175,000 to $190,000. So we took this program for our 4-county region. We didn't have a lot of houses in Hope County, a lot of houses in Scotland County, a tremendous amount of houses in Bladen and Rawson County. So in this program, not only were we able to spend that $175,000, but we were able to secure funding for additional units. So as of today, we've completed 16 units at a cost of about $630,000, all provided through North Carolina Housing Finance Agency. So in your packet, you will receive a list of those individuals that were a part of this program. The Housing Finance Agency has a digital file, if you will, where we upload information about applications. So everything or everyone that applied that met the basic requirements, their information was uploaded. So you can see those individuals in here and what has occurred. We had 16 on that first page that were completed, their names are listed. And then we had 20 units that were withdrawn, and we had 12 units that were canceled. The canceled units were units that didn't meet the basic requirements. Once we got into the portal, a lot of that was centered around FEMA funding. If they received FEMA dollars, they had to provide receipts of how they spent that. You would be surprised at how some of that money got spent, not on housing. So that automatically disqualified from the program. The individuals that were drawn, the vast majority of those individuals were a part of the NC Field program, and I'm pretty sure you're familiar with that program. So they opted out of this program to try and participate in that program with the hopes that they'd be able to get a new home. So as of today, again, we've completed 16 units for $630,000. I received a call about 3 weeks ago from the North Carolina Housing Finance Agency. I've got a pretty good relationship with them. The director called up and said, "Adrian, I got a question." I said, "Yes, sir." He said, "I got some more money. Other counties are turning their money in. We don't want to send this money back. Can you spend it?" I said, "Yes." "How much are we talking?" He said, "I got $400,000. I said, "I can spend $200,000 in Bladen County and $200,000 in Rawson County." So immediately got to work. We identified 5 units that we can rehab with those particular monies. 4 of them have been approved by the Housing Finance Agency and will move forward after their title search or the small title search they do is completed. The other unit, unfortunately, is another NC rebuild unit. So she's trying to decide which way she wants to go, so I provided her some information. And she's supposed to let me know something by the end of this month. If not, we'll look to find 1 more unit. So as far as the DR program, that disaster recovery, it's going to look like about 21 units when all is said and done. And we're estimating that we're going to be able to spend here in Bladen County, I think it's about $830,000 is what we'll be able to spend. Now, these units have to be in that portal by December 31st. There is a potential that there could be more money coming from other counties. So that $200,000 could go to $300,000. It could go to $400,000. But that's a lot of work that we have to do to get them in their portal by the 31st. Is there any questions about that particular program? Yes, ma'am.
I got two. You say there's a pack, a handout. I don't have anything in my pack. It's attached to the agenda. Okay. You know what? Okay, so I know what we're talking about. That's number one. Number two. How do you select those homeowners?
Generally apply, there was an advertisement that went out. We also go out to the community. Our main source when we seek housing residents is through the Baptist Men. Reverend Cannon, when he was there, provided a lot of assistance. So, and Bladen County is a tremendous county when it comes to word of mouth. I'll be honest with you, we can put an advertisement in the paper, advertisement program, and we can get 500 applications. And when you ask applicants, why so many? Well, Aunt Doris got an application, and then she called her sister, and then she called her brother. Bladen County, people know each other, and they get those applications out. But a lot of it is through seeking out resources such as the Bladen Baptist.
But I remember, these just funds for those for Matthew?
Yes, ma'am. Currently, that's the case.
Okay.
Currently the case. There is some discussion with the General Assembly about the Florence dollars, if they're going to make that available to the Housing Finance Agency, but that decision hasn't come down. The second program that's currently operated is the Single Family Rehab Program, the regular program. This was a fiscal year 18 program. Bladen County was awarded $175,000 to do 3 homes here in the county. Or 5 homes is what we're going to end up with. But we have been able to find 3 homes as part of that program. That program is a little more complicated in the fact that individuals have to pass, or they have to go through a title search. They have to go through a full environmental review, so there's a lot more involved in this particular program. You say fiscal year 18 and you've not done anything yet. The way the Housing Finance Agency program works is if it's a fiscal year 18, we're not going to have access to dollars to probably the end of fiscal year 19. And so that was about the time the COVID hit. But also they reached out to us and asked us to focus on the DR funding because they wanted to get that funding out quicker and they would give us any type of extension we need. We have until June 30th to spend these funds, and I don't anticipate any issues. As a matter of fact, I expect that we'll probably be able to do about 10 units, so that's going to be roughly about $330,000. And I'm basing that on the previous program at 15. We got $175,000, and we ended up spending close to $400,000 on that program. Any questions about that particular program? The final thing I have for you this evening is I come asking to join in with you as a housing consultant for the new fiscal 821 program. This Bladen County is an 18 program. It's also going to be a fiscal 21 program. Those applications are due December the 12th. That'll be $190,000 to also do about 5 units. So what I'm coming to do tonight is to ask the board to approve a contract for me as a housing consultant to be able to apply for, secure, and administer those grant funding for Bladen County, essentially the same role that I had at the Lumber Council of Governments.
Motion to approve. We have a motion to approve, and we have a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes.
One final thing, if I may, if there are any folks that did receive damage from Hurricane Matthew that you're aware of, if you can get those to Marie, she knows how to get in contact with me. If we can get that additional funds, it's going to help me to have a group of about 5 to 6 people ready to go.
Mr. Lowry, what is your contact information?
My cell phone is 910-827-1947, and you can use that number anytime.
All right, thank you, sir.
Okay, next will be matters of interest.
I know,
Mr. Peterson.
you know, it's almost Christmas, and you know, DSS has started their Christmas angels. And I always come this time of year and ask commissioners and people in the audience to take an angel and help a needy child this Christmas. They're very small items. Some of them are very small, some of them are a little expensive, but You can choose the ones you want, but please don't leave the room without taking the angel home with you guys. They're all here. They're due December 9th. Thank you, Mr. Good.
Mr. Vice Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I want to direct Mr. Martin to locate funding for an on-the-spot cash award to be given to the housekeeping staff. They are required to do additional duties now due to the result of the COVID-19. And those additional duties are sanitizing buildings and building components, or refilling sanitation stations and so forth. The cash award should be not less than $100 after deduction for taxes. This is to demonstrate our appreciation to them for the extra duties that they are doing at this time. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Cook. Yes, ma'am.
Are you gonna consider that or we'll do it next month?
No, you can't vote on it
I
tonight,
know.
because your money.
Next meeting.
Yeah, thank you so much. I have one, Mr. Chairman.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
want to find out about the update for the illegal dumping. Kingston Road, Starcade, and Ross Road, and
Watson Road.
yeah.
Yes,
The
sir.
update?
Yes, ma'am. Mr. Kip McClary, we followed up with him since our last meeting, and he's looking into it. As you all may recall, he was working in conjunction with the sheriff's office
Right.
on that matter, and so they're following up on that as well.
Well, I mean, because they're telling me it's, the trash is increasing. So it's not like they've stopped, so they must have cleaned up some, but now people do
They
it
did.
again. So we have to do something because of the safety of this citizen.
Yes, ma'am. Mr. McClary is aware of it. They're working on it. Thank you.
Mr. Elizabeth.
Thank you, Dr. Arnold. Yes, sir, Mr. Peterson.
I would piggyback off of Mr. Bullock's if it's appropriate. I think, Mr. Martin, you need to look into that. We don't need to set a dollar value on what we need to do, but you got health department workers, you got all kind of people that's dealing with this COVID, DSS and everything. I would ask for a recommendation for you, if any.
Okay.
Mr. Vice Chair, that was mine, was directed just to the housekeeping.
I know, but there's more county employees dealing with COVID than just housekeeping. That's the point I wanted to make.
Could I ask a question of Mr. Martin? Can you find out whether or not that funding that we have for COVID, can it be used to subsidize that cost?
My understanding is it could.
Okay. That sounds good. Thank you, sir.
Any more commissioners? Okay, next, Ms. Vicky Smith.
Good evening. I'm here tonight to present for signatures a requirement of Session Law 2017-41, which requires all counties to enter into an annual written agreement referred to as a Memorandum of Understanding, or MOU, with North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services for all social service programs except Medicaid. Now, this was included in your packet, and it may look familiar to you because I came to you back in when the first agreement was signed, state fiscal year 2018-19. North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services chose not to implement MOU for 2020-2021 due to the impact of COVID on the daily business of DSS since March. This MOU that is in your packet tonight will begin January 1st of 2021 and will run for 18 months, which will end June 30th of 2022. Even though that the MOU has not been in effect this past year, the agency has presented this information monthly to our HHSA, or Health and Human Services Advisory Committee, for their review. This MOU, it contains 16 measurements regarding expected mandates and timeframes that we should follow. The agreement is not meant to be punitive, but it is a way for NCDHHS to work with counties that are having difficulty meeting the measures and provide support using a continuous quality improvement framework.
Ms. Smith, is there still a monetary penalty if you do not join the MOU?
At this time, they have not really designated that. They are saying that it is not punitive. There are some areas that when we have concerns, there are ways that I can rebut or refute that. So,
At the end of the day, are you gonna pay penalties?
I do not think so at this time, because they are
The
saying,
one before,
the one before they were
so
saying,
what is different?
this time I have not.
Is it in there that there be no penalties?
Hmm. Just one
I'm
second.
sorry.
That's the same question I'm trying to figure out.
Yeah.
You're gonna charge you, no, but you're gonna do
Yes,
this.
Mr. Chairman. One factor is they're providing more state level support to the
Right.
counties to work in conjunction with it and provide assistance and that type of thing. That's the key factor in this,
Correct.
in this new program.
Are there gonna be any penalties?
You will have, such as in Child Protective Services, you know, if there are some eligibility requirements that we may have made a wrong decision, there might be some payback for those type situations. But they are saying that it is not punitive, that it is more of a CQI. But it is a more supportive agreement.
I'm from Raleigh, I'm here to help you.
Okay, how can you help?
What, can you tell me what's a CQY? What is that?
Continuous quality improvement. It's where there's constantly, like each month, they're presenting our data, and we're able to see where we're at with our mandates and timeframes.
So refresh my memory, what happens if you don't approve it?
That's what I'm asking.
I do not see in here where there is financial.
There's not, nothing there about that.
What happens if you don't approve it?
It will still continue on. Yeah, in the past, the first one that we signed, we did have a letter, that came through the commissioners. They recognize there may be some letters that come through, but they do ask that it is not attached to the MOU. They will continue with our single county audits, any other audit that would require any type of payback. But that's going to be with those audits, not with the MOU.
So, Ms. Smith, as far as you know, there's no financial responsibility if we do not approve it. No penalty.
It doesn't matter if you sign or not, it is in place.
But has the program created a situation where it's more cost efficient to you? Do you see a cost efficiency of the program? What's the advantage of it?
I think what it does do, it keeps us aware of where we're at with our timeframes, because that is what the MOU is most about, is making sure that we are meeting those. Remember with Medicaid, which Medicaid's not included in this, there was a big thrust for timeliness, and that's what this is dealing with, making sure that our CPS reports are initiated timely, that food and nutrition applications are approved timely, the recertifications such as Work First as well.
So, Ms. Smith, is this where the state is trying to hold the individual counties accountable for their different departments? Is that where we're at? There's not going to be any kind of financial strain on us?
Correct. They are looking at that as a support to us, where if there are counties that are having some problems, they reach out, do CQI, provide more training and support to us.
When is it due?
January 1st.
Motion to table.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to lay this on the table. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes to table.
Thank you.
Okay, Health Department, Dr. Terry Duncan.
7B, Mr. Vice Chair.
Oh, I'm sorry, we got to go back and do the audit on that.
Good evening.
You did receive copies of the adult Medicaid charts for the months of August, September, and October. Also included in that packet was a narrative concerning the charts, a little more explanation. For the month of October, for the applications and recertifications, the audits, most employees have shown improvement in the scores in both the eligibility and technical areas. Does anyone have any questions concerning the audits?
Is there a reason there's a deal? Just happens.
It just happens. It really depends on what the case pertains to that's audited.
What is your overall impression of this audit? Your overall impression?
For the month of October, I was a little more satisfied with what I saw. Yes, sir. That's our goal, is to improve each month.
That's what my question was gonna be also kind of was, do you feel, being that you're right there with these employees that are being audited, that this is a true reflection of what you're personally seeing yourself?
Yes, yes, I do. I think that's also reflected in our RETA audit that's completed every month by the state. That's our recipient eligibility determination audit. And the information or feedback that we receive shows that our workers are maintaining the work very well.
Has the caseload changed any? I'm just looking at everybody, so 100% on this.
No, sir, caseloads have not
So
changed. Everybody's just beginning now, I think, to train and learn and understand the process better.
So what you're saying is not employee turnover this time?
Repeat that, sir.
You're not having a turnover with employees this time?
No, sir.
It's the same crew?
Yes, correct.
Have we had any, have to reimburse the state or anyone on the federal any money because of COVID or whatever?
The RETA audit? No, ma'am, not at this time, ma'am.
Is the positive impact based on training that you all have given the employees?
Yes, sir. Good job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, now we'll have Dr.
Good evening, and to the outgoing commissioners, I want to thank you for not only your service as a county commissioner, but also your service on the regulatory board of health. Thank you so much. So tonight, the first item is the animal shelter attendant position you received in your packet. A request for a full-time animal shelter attendant. Remember, we asked that when you were planning the budget this year, but due to COVID and not knowing what part we would be in the budget, how we might be affected, we were delayed. We have found it continues to be difficult to hire a part-time person. Many of those, when we hire them, are also looking for full-time positions, and they leave as soon as that is available. Due to COVID, we have not had the ability to have the inmates to help us, and our part-time staff has worked about all they could. I do have Corey here with me tonight, the animal control supervisor, if you have any questions.
Good, I had someone call me on the animal control board, and they just said these two part-time positions, they can't keep people working in them, and they've got to have somebody, so I understand that's the reason they want a full-time versus the two part-time.
The thing, Mr. Duncan, I know all this on staffing for this has been a constant problem, a concern we've been having to try and get staff and keeping employees there, even with the inmates there. Would this eliminate that problem now, or where we will be as you turn to full-time?
We were thinking that it would give us a much stronger employee, because again, they would be more committed versus that part-time position, and they would be there full-time.
But that would bring the staffing level to where it needs to be at this present time. That's what I'm asking.
At this present time, yes.
And the funds with this shift from the part-time, and with a base basically equate to the same thing that we get adjusted to a full-time salary? What's gonna be the effect of that, Ms. Martin?
There's a difference.
There's a difference.
What's gonna be the difference then?
You would have about a part-time shelter attendant is 21,000, and a full-time is 36,000, almost 37.
So now we provide health benefits in the whole package for the program.
Correct.
That's where you're gonna have the adjustment.
Correct.
Is that one part-time or two part-time?
That's 2 part-time.
21,000.
Yes, sir.
So let me, you want one full-time and two?
No, ma'am, we only want 1 full-time. We want to replace the 2 part-times for the full-time.
Make a motion to accept.
Second.
Have a motion and a second.
Oh. You've got to lay on top of one day.
I can do it right.
It's new money.
I can do it right.
That's our funding, we got to lay it on the
Everybody
table.
lays on the table.
That's right. Let's lay it on the table, one minute.
It's not listed.
Huh?
It's not listed as an action item.
Right.
Let's lay it on the table.
Get it.
Okay, go ahead.
So our second item is to consider approval of a temporary part-time nursing position. As you all are aware, COVID numbers have increased, and we did receive a Tri-County Collaborative Charitable Trust Fund from the KP Reynolds with $76,000 coming to each county over the next year. Part of the intent for the application was that we could hire additional personnel for half of the grant. We're asking for a part-time RN only for the term of the grant. It would be a temporary position, and this is not new money.
Motion approved.
Second.
Motion been made, properly second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Can I ask you what the difference between one and the other is? Because this is an action item and the funds are not coming from the county. Correct?
It's not costing us new money.
That's what
The
I-
funds are already available for the second position.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
And so our last item is the COVID-19 update and the county alert system. Again, I think we are, have been media aware of where our county, our state, and our nation is with COVID. I want to say, first of all, we are blessed in Bladen County that we have had our friends, our neighbors, our co-workers, our businesses, our schools, our churches to work together so that we have not been affected to the extent that some of our neighboring counties have, as well as some of our other states. If we were in another state today, we wouldn't have hospital room, we wouldn't have staffing for those hospitals, we would have trailers literally for our bodies because there would be nowhere for them. So we are a blessed people in Bladen County. As of today, there were 339,194 positive cases for North Carolina. With 293,555 recovered, that gives about an 86.5% recovery rate. But we pushed the threshold now of over 5,000 deaths, with 5,039 deaths in the state. They're currently the highest number of hospitalizations, and that number has continued to steadily increase over the last week. But today we had 1,601 currently hospitalized in North Carolina. The percent positives today in North Carolina were 6.6%, and we know that we want our threshold there to be 5% or less. When I was here with you last time, we were running around a 4% in Bladen County. We've doubled that. As of today, we have 1,271 positive cases in Bladen County with 120 active positive cases. That will increase tomorrow unless we have some more recovery come on. We currently have 1,132 recovered, giving us about an 89% recovery rate. So consistently, we're running a couple of points ahead of the recoveries as compared to the state. We have maintained the 19 deaths On my report at noon, we reported 1 hospitalized, but we know now that we have 3 currently in the hospital. Our positive rate for today is 8.7%. The new county alert system that DHHS released last week and was included in your packet lists 3 categories: red, orange, and yellow. And last week there were 10 with critical community spread in the red. We were not included in that. The initial plan was to release the county alert system monthly, but based on the increase since last week, middle of last week, they issued another county alert system today. Initially there were 20 counties in the red, 43 counties in the orange, and Bladen was among the orange with a substantial community spread. So what's the difference? One of the main differences is if you have greater than a 10% positivity rate over a 14-day period, then you're a red category. If you have greater than an 8% positivity rate, you are an orange county, and then the yellow has significant community spread. So today, it went from 10 counties in the red to 20. And again, we're still included in the orange. Last week, Columbus County was included in the red. Today, Columbus, Robeson, and Hope are the ones closest to us. In the yellow, we have those that are closer to us would be Brunswick County and New Hanover County. The rest of the counties are in the orange. So this gave individuals, businesses, community organizations, and public health officials another tool to understand where the virus is and to make fair decisions and actions according to the coronavirus. Here in Bladen County, again, we have done an exceptional job of neighbors helping neighbors and taking care of those in our community and trying not to reduce the spread. In your packet, there were, first of all, it is up to individuals, and if we as individuals will continue to take the measures, then we can stop this. Because it's us as individuals that are going into businesses and schools and religious organizations, so it really does start with the individual. When you look at things that we have done here in the county as far as what the public health official or public officials could do, one of those was to increase testing, and I'm happy to report that since I was with you last time, we now have testing at the health department on Monday, Thursday, and Friday. They were saying in North Carolina that was averaging about 9 to 10 tests a day. The first day we did 19, the second day 16, and then we had that bad weather and we did 12 that day. Since then we've done 45 to 50. So based on that, I requested that we add Tuesday and Wednesday, and hopefully we can start that, if not next week, the following week. So again, that is free testing for anyone that doesn't have insurance. And if you do have insurance, if you're Medicaid, then we will take your card. It does include children, and it is drive-through. When we look at the demographics for COVID-19, we continue to have our biggest age group at the 25 to 49 with almost 40%, followed by almost 24% of the 50 to 64 age group. And males and females are exactly even now. And as far as race, we have 49.3% that Caucasian, with 26.6% African American, 57% is non-Hispanic, and 24% is Hispanic. Of those hospitalized, we have 88 that were hospitalized with 16 deaths in the hospital. It gives about an 18% death rate for those that are actually hospitalized. So we know that Governor Cooper today issued another executive order, 180. In that, he gave us a warning that our state is in danger. We know that we're headed for some unknown territory. Thanksgiving holidays, encouraging folks to do their risk assessment. Look at where your gatherings are, try to social distance, and wear the mask. We know that in this executive order that it does speak to a more tightening of wearing face masks that are required indoors even if maintaining 6 feet, required for working out in an indoor gym, required in all public and private schools, and when traveling with people outside of the household. We have some good news on the horizon. You've heard that we have a vaccine in the coming months and hopefully before the end of the year. We have 2, Pfizer and Moderna, that are reporting a 95% efficacy rating. That's better than the flu vaccine. We know that if once the vaccines come and the vaccines are administered, that efficacy rate probably will fall. That's traditional among vaccines. The Pfizer vaccine has been submitted to the Food and Drug Administration for their authorization for an emergency use. It could come as early as the 1st of December. We have started and had a site visit to Bladen Community College as part of our planning for the vaccine distribution. We don't know yet 2 critical points, and that's number 1, where the high-risk groups are still out there, but amongst the general conversation between CDC and DHHS, it does include healthcare workers and those in congregate settings. And we don't know yet if we'll get 100 doses or 1,000 doses. Both the Moderna and the Pfizer vaccine require 2 doses. The Pfizer requires 1 dose, and then 21 days later, a second dose. The Moderna is 1 dose, and the second dose, 28 days later. So the vaccines would be free to, no matter your health insurance status. The federal government would be purchasing the vaccines. Both of these are cold storage, and we're working with emergency management to solidify the dry ice and work there. Much is yet to come on vaccine distribution. Any questions?
Ms. Knight, a week or so ago, something that kind of caught my attention is that they have relief assistance for people that are correlated that were quarantined. And that number was astronomically high. I said, my goodness, it was 52. But they had 300 people quarantined that they were saying needed assistance because they had to stay in because of quarantine. When we look at 125 active cases, what did that reflect? Did it reflect this 125? What are we talking about?
120 is the current active positive cases in the county. For every positive case, we look at the close contact. Who was within 6 feet for longer than 15 minutes cumulative of that individual. So an individual may have no contacts, or they may have 20. In the last week or 2, we've had some that had at least 20 close contacts.
That's what I'm saying. So with that number, what I'm saying, are we being honest with the public when we say 125 cases, or that is active that you have tested?
125 positive cases, yes.
But that doesn't, what I'm saying is the movement throughout the community. You think you're moving with 125, but in reality, that's not a real number.
That's correct.
Nowhere near real when you're being exposed to the virus.
You got 120 that are staying home, and you got another 300 that are staying home.
Okay. I was going because I know that's what I looked at, the amount that was being quarantined. And we looked at 120 cases, and then it was 52. And they had about 200 some people with quarantine.
Correct.
Okay. No problem.
Dr. Duncan, I think you said 3 of our citizens are hospitalized. Where are they housed at? Hospital? Are they local? At the local hospital?
They're not local here, no.
Okay.
We have had hospitalized patients throughout the state: Cape Valley, Hanover, Greenville, Chapel Hill, Duke.
But they're not at BCH.
Well, not today.
Okay, thank you.
Well, okay, we're going,
Yes, they are handling them. I did talk with the hospital today. They do have available beds. Cape Fear Valley has an increase in ventilator patients as well as New Hanover. The patients here are still being able to be transferred out at this point. That's not the case in some of the other areas of the hospital, of the state, I'm sorry.
Thank you, ma'am.
Excuse me, Dr. Becker, how many ICU beds do you have in place?
There's 4 ICU beds.
Thank you, Doctor. Next, Ms. Lisa Booth.
Thank you. It's good to see everyone over. I want to go over the dashboard for the month ending October, for the 4 months. At the end of October, we have collected 39.15% of revenues and spent 31.96 in the general fund. Solid waste, we have collected 52.66% and spent 28.61% of the budget. The emergency telephone fund, we have collected 25.02% of the revenues and spent 6.84%. And the water department, we have collected 32.37% and spent 11.12%. Does anybody have any questions about the dashboard?
so where are we at on collecting water bills past due? Do you know?
They are working, I know they're working on those with the payment plans.
That's correct.
Do we have numbers and?
They provided, they were, as required, provided a 6-month time frame for folks to make those payments. And I think that extends through maybe February time.
Through February.
Did y'all cut some water off last week?
I think so.
Yes.
Middle of the month, yes, sir.
Any other questions? If there's no other questions, we'll move on to the jail report for the inmates at the law enforcement center. As you can see on this spreadsheet, the estimate for the rest of the year shows that we would have a net profit of $434,839.92 if everything comes in at just 75 people. Right now we have about 83, I think was the last time I checked it. It was about 83 employees, federal inmates. So the remainder of the year for November through June is estimated at 75, just to be on the safe side. Any questions about that? Moving on, I'll go over, we had to revise the coronavirus relief fund plan. We had requested to buy a trailer for the health department to be able to use for vaccines and that type of thing and have testing and things done. Unfortunately, they will not be able to build that by December. So that will not be done. So we have ordered, and it will be here by December the 30th, a drive-through tent so she can do outside testing at the health department. They can also use this outside of things besides just COVID testing. They can use it for their flu clinics and things of that nature as well. So it can be used for multiple things. So we did revise the public health expense part of the coronavirus plan. Also, we increased the amount of the payroll expenses because we found out a month or so ago that we could use public safety personnel to also get reimbursed back to the county. So we have changed those numbers a little bit, and we have finished paying out everything to the small businesses. We ended up spending $27,520.55 of the $50,000 we had allocated. And we're in the process now of trying to finish up everything with the towns. We have paid out very little so far for what they have actually requested, so we're still working on those at this time. Does anybody have any questions about that? All right, moving on, I'll go over anticipation of my 1920 audit. The auditors were in the office this week and have been all last week. I've been working diligently again today trying to get us some estimated figures. and this is still a draft. But right now, we know that our estimate right now is 3.2 million increase in fund balance this year. With that being said, only 1.8 of that 3.2 is going to be in available or unassigned fund balance. 1.8. Everything else has either a line item that's restricted or committed or assigned. And that's the things that has been happening through the board.
Now, 1.8, you said is unassigned for the fund balance?
Yes, ma'am.
If it's an increase in fund balance 3.2, why is it already on?
Some of it's grants, some of it's, and so what happens is just like FEMA. FEMA hasn't finished paying everything yet. So there's money set aside to reimburse for expenses we've already had in place. Those are committed or assigned dollars.
Mr. Chairman, I'll give you a good explanation. As I've indicated before, the audit is based on a snapshot, a one-day snapshot of June 30th. So a significant portion of the difference between the 3.2 and the 1.8 is revenue that is being accrued back to June 30th, but it actually wasn't received by June 30th. So it wasn't in the bank on June 30th.
And some of it still hasn't been.
A good example is DSS revenue, EMS revenue, and then as she indicated, the hurricane projects.
So does it eventually be 3.2 versus 1.8 when that fund's
At
coming in?
some time when it ever hits.
Okay, good.
No,
Now,
not
I'm gonna
necessarily.
say-
Yeah,
and
but I mean, it's
I will
already
say-
earmarked. Hold on. Well, the answer to that though is not exactly, because
Well-
a number of those projects have already been committed to have already been funded by the board. So it
Right.
doesn't mean that you're gonna have that, it's just excess cash.
Well, we can talk offline, but if it's a 3.2 increase in fund balance, but you got money coming in, it still should be 3.2 at some time.
It does in our total fund balance. When you look at our actual audit, it's broken down as what's restricted, what's committed, assigned, and unassigned in total fund balance. Our total fund balance did increase by approximately 3.2 million, but the unassigned only increased 1.8.
But you're saying that one of the reasons why it's increased to 3.2 is because of the grants, the different grants we received and such. Is that due to COVID or is that just in general?
No, it's not to the COVID grants, this is grants in general.
Other grants in
The
general,
hurricane.
okay.
The
But they
hurricane.
were approved under the understanding that they were going to be allocated as a certain line item or department or whatever.
That's
Correct?
right.
That's correct.
Okay, so the 1.8 unassigned, that's just what we will have that we are able to allocate in a different line item
That's
during
correct.
budget time.
That's correct.
Okay.
Ms. Copeland, with this audit that's coming up, can we ask the auditor to identify and separate out those type of funds, COVID virus?
I have all the COVID money separated into a special revenue, it's not in the general fund at all.
But we can't see, so we can't, how can we get something to identify that in the audit? He can't single that out in the audit?
Yes,
Will-
it's in a
will-
special revenue fund in the audit.
Will it be singled out? That's what
Yes,
I'm
sir,
asking.
yes, sir.
So we will be able to identify all that being inserted into
Yes,
the
sir.
audit?
Any more questions about the fund balance?
I have one more question, sorry, about the 1.8 unassigned. Is that taking into consideration the mandated funds that we have to give to the Board of Education and the DSS portion? Is all that the 1.8 unassigned that you're referring to has not been allocated at all at this point?
Correct. Those are excess, those are revenues that came in excess of the expenditures.
Okay.
Yes.
Any other questions? All right, one other thing I want to let you, well, a couple things. Now, one other thing I want to let you know, we talked about, at the last meeting, about looking at our debt, about paying off some debt. I have reached out to USDA, and on the EMS facility, if we pay that off right now, we're going to save about $117,000 in interest payments between now and December 20th of 2029. So that is something we're fixing to go ahead and proceed with. And I have reached out to Bank of America for the Guaranteed Energy Savings Contract.
because their interest rate right now is 4.15%, it ends in 24, so we're looking for a little bit of savings there. But we're trying to leave the other ones alone at this present time because, as you know, the school bonds will be paid off in May. And that's 2.47%, and then the, 1.53%. The school, and the qualified school construction bond is 100% paid through interest and through the Board of Education, so that's nothing on us. So those things there will still remain, as well as the detention center at this time. Any questions about that? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Coleman. Okay, next, Bakery Lakes Fire Service District, you need two.
Motion table. You got one?
Second. You guys like to go home? Second.
Okay, motion's been made, properly seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to table B and C.
ENC?
I'll second that.
Mr. Vice Chair,
Yes.
didn't we get some recommendations for C?
Well, what's going to car?
I thought I seen some recommendations come in for 10C.
Well, I want to reappoint, Marlon Grant.
I'll motion on table, A and B, or B and C.
Why?
Give a second.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor say
Question,
aye.
I have a question. Why is he, going to, pay?
Say that again.
Why did Mr. Peterson want to table, the card from the advisory committee?
Mr. Mark,
I have to do a little follow-up.
let me get a
Well,
recommendation.
one of the
Yeah,
Marlon
he
is
sent you the email.
still willing to.
Marie sent that information to you.
I intended to print it, but I forgot to print it.
Some come to me earlier this evening, and I just need to table to follow up. That's the reason I made my motion.
Well, I don't have a problem with, Marlon Grant, if you worried about him. So if you want to table the other.
I didn't say a thing about Marlon Grant.
Well, I mean, I ain't saying I want you to.
No, my motion is to table. Till next week, next month.
All those in favor say aye.
All right.
Opposed?
No.
No.
Motion is show of hands. That's what. All those in favor, raise your right hand.
I'll take the next crazy.
All opposed, right hand. 3-4. Motion failed. Okay.
Yeah, I just have a point I want to make here. It makes no sense for one person want to check on something and don't recognize the fact that it has nothing to do with the other person on that committee. So, it just don't make sense to me.
It makes perfect sense to me. You got your opinion, and I got mine.
I don't have a problem with that, I'm just saying this don't make sense.
We can deal with it next meeting.
Okay. Advisory board appointments for consideration during, December 23rd meeting. You got Division of Ag, Economic Development, Health and Human Services, Library Board, Personnel Advisory Board. Okay. Number 12, Mr. Greg Mark.
Thank you, sir. Good evening, everyone. Before I review the calendar, I'd like to just thank the outgoing commissioner briefly review the calendar with you for the remainder of November and December. Just point out for the remainder of this month, on Thursday and Friday, offices are closed in observance of the Thanksgiving holiday. On Friday evening, there's a Christmas tree lighting ceremony here on the courthouse lawn. That will also be broadcast virtually on Facebook. So encourage you to watch that if you have the opportunity. Also, on Saturday from 10 until 3, there's a tour of churches throughout Bladen County. I think at this point there may be 6 churches that are on the list.
So Greg, there's potential that might be canceled.
Is that right? Okay.
They'll make a decision Wednesday because they haven't sold any tickets.
Okay. All right.
They're not making that.
Thank you.
So, I mean, it's on, but we'll get word out as we can if it's canceled.
Okay. Good. Thank you for understanding. Moving over to December, on Thursday the 3rd, there is a JCPC monthly meeting at the Powell Melvin Building. On Friday the 4th, I think it's at 6 p.m., there's a Christmas tree lighting ceremony in Bladeboro. On Monday the 7th, there's a prayer service here at 8 a.m. The board meets that evening at 6:30 p.m. On Tuesday the 6th, on Tuesday the 8th, the Elizabethtown White Lake Area Chamber will have its monthly meeting. On the 14th at 5 p.m., the Health and Human Services Advisory Committee meets. On Monday, the 21st at 6:30 p.m., the Board of County Commissioners meets here. Offices will be closed on Thursday and Friday, the 24th and 25th, as well as Monday, the 28th, in observance of the Christmas holiday.
So, Mr. Good, Mr. Martin, on the 27th, Elizabethtown's gonna light their tree in front of the courthouse.
Yes, sir.
27th, I know it's in the chamber stuff, and then Lou Mill starts their Christmas, light tour that same night. And at Bladeboro on the first Friday of December, Friday, December the 4th, we will have Mr. and Mrs. Claus there. Everything else is canceled.
Thank you very much. Moving to item B, I know this is an added item. As you all know, the property's closed. You should have received a letter from the County Attorney Leslie Johnson that there were numerous properties that closed Friday for the downtown Bladeboro revitalization project. And so we would like to ask the board to declare those properties surplus and to donate them to the town of Bladeboro. As you may recall, Bladeboro received a state grant to demolish the properties, and so they need to have ownership of those properties in order to be able to do that.
Must approve.
Have a second? We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of the motion say yes.
And I think Mr. Johnson said, even though it goes to Bladeboro, then it transfers to Bladen.
It will eventually.
Okay. Before any action,
Ma'am,
before any construction, anything.
I'm sure.
Okay.
Because this Washington attorney has all the legal pieces of those properties. We was talking about the legal part of it one time. Has all those issues been resolved?
Yeah, the land's
The
bought
properties are
by,
closed.
Huh?
land's bought by.
So all that's been resolved. I'm asking the attorney over there.
As far as the title's concerned, yes, sir.
Okay.
So, Mr. Martin, on Dr. Moore, question, I don't know that at what time it'd be transferred to Bladen County.
Okay, I don't need it.
I mean,
Now,
I want you to, I mean, it might be before the building started, it might be after, I don't know the answer to that, but I just want to.
I think.
At some point, it will be transferred.
Okay.
Do we need to?
Okay, I just want to make sure, I don't.
Let me ask a question. If you get into construction or anything, ask the attorney, who has the legal responsibility? Is it Bladen County, Bladen, or does the town own it? Who has it? Who has the legal responsibility for anything that happens?
Yeah, I mean, once we convey the real estate to the other entities, that's no longer on the county.
So when would that have to take place?
We're at the tail end of that process. I mean, today you just declared it surplus so that we can finalize the steps in order to get it out of the county's name.
Get it out of the county name.
Correct.
I just want to know when that time frame, when that going to happen. Would it be something, before we start doing land acquisition and property acquisition, is all that going to be finalized where it's going? Or surplus has to be the initial phase of it to get it to that point?
Well, in order to-
It's already been bought.
Yeah,
I'm
not sure about-
surplus piece of it.
the properties have been acquired, the various properties have been acquired by the county. They closed Friday.
That's right.
So now we're asking the county to declare those properties as surplus and donate them to the town of Bladenboro. Because the town is the organization that received the grant from the state to demolish the properties.
So as soon as we do that, then they're gonna convert it back over to the county. Is that what
No,
you're saying?
sir,
To blame the blood.
to Bladen's Blood.
To Bladen County.
Right.
So, well, I'm trying to take away the liability work, who's
Yeah,
gonna end up with
right, from
property.
the county to the town of Bladenboro to Bladen's Blood.
Okay, all right, I just wanna figure out which way it's trending before we get to the.
Once the county no longer owns it,
Huh?
reliability on our end.
What did he say?
What was that again, Mr. Johnson?
Once the county conveys it out, there's no more liability on our end.
Okay.
Okay, any more discussion? All those in favor of the motion, say aye. All opposed? Motion passes.
Can I ask a question to Mr. Martin? There was an article recently with Dr. White and some members of Bladenboro. I know this revitalization project in Bladenboro is going to help them with that flooding downtown. The question that Dr. White and the others asked was, when will the funds go or some work be done on the 410 area in Bladenboro? What is that? You know what I'm talking about?
410 is, well, that's the main street through Bladenboro.
Okay.
That's where it flooded down there all the time.
Which, these
So
properties
is this
are right
near-
adjacent, and they're
They
You
say
talking
that
about Dr. White lives?
Dr. White knows folks because at the last flood or rain, they showed on television a lot of folks are flooding in Bladenboro still.
That's where it
Yeah,
flooded.
where Dr. White is.
You talking where she lives?
Yeah, her house on that
She
end.
lives almost on the Florence Carolina.
How about the other folks on that end though? She said her family and other neighbors are flooding when there's a storm, heavy storm.
No, she lives about 5-6 miles out of Buffalo.
Well, I'm trying to pull
We can
the
get,
address.
we can get with Dean.
yeah, that's what I was.
Yeah, but I'm just thinking that revitalization is just downtown, but no place else in that area.
Yeah. But the work, as you all know, there's been extensive work done to clean the streams and help the water flow better and that type of thing. But that may be an isolated, I don't know if that's part of an issue that was in existence during Matthew and Lawrence as well, but we'll find out.
The person I would like, Mr. Martin, is kind of piggyback on what Ms. Dr. Gordon said. I've gotten a lot of phone calls too in reference to flooding in that area. And we as a board need to identify where the problems are coming from. Because they're saying ditches are backing up, put some pumps in ditches, all kinds of stuff going on down there. We need to identify what is the county responsibility and what's the state responsibility and how can we provide relief to these people. Because they're looking for relief in some form or fashion. We went over there with Kelly, we did with the Dyken, we sought out funds for that particular project. We need to try to figure out where is some relief that these people can get to eliminate some of these problems they got.
That's what Dean's been working on.
Yeah, I know that, but it ain't working right now.
But maybe it's not moving fast.
Maybe we need enough relief, Charles. Maybe we need to do something else. I don't know. Maybe the state needs to get more involved with it. That's something I'm saying.
Okay, Mr. Dodd.
So we've got an application in too with CDBG-DR that I spoke to last week for a stormwater drainage study for not only Bladenboro, but several towns in the county.
Okay.
So, I got some promising moves on that last week, but as we get more, so.
But that is in municipal, that is in
That's
municipalities. So
that's
that wouldn't address,
municipality.
that, but it is in the towns, where Bladenboro has experienced a great deal.
Okay. Well, I'm just looking at their calling about the homes flooding out in the, not in the city, in the town limits, but outside of it. And they're trying to figure out, they're asking us, why haven't the county come out and dredge and clean the ditch out? And I'm saying, you go to DOT, they say that's not their ditch, and then they'll say if it's on somebody's property, not their ditch. We need to try to figure out how to get people some relief with their property. It is simple as that.
Thank you, Commissioner. Just want to remind you, request a closed session for
Okay, and this time we need a closed session for economic development.
Second.
Motion's been made and properly seconded to go into closed session. All in favor?